Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. So, I am starting a new series called Let's Chat About. And in this series, I just want to sort of break down different topics in the kind of bookish community, the bookish world, and talk through them. Talk about my thoughts on them, what I've experienced, my suggestions, if applicable, etc. So today, let's chat about rereading books. So for those of us who have extensive TBRs, the concept of rereading books can seem like a waste of time. You have this whole shelf or multiple shelves full of books that you have not read and that are taking up space and taking up your TBR, yet rereading a book might be enticing. And you might feel bad about that because you have all these books that are unread on your shelves. I am here to make a case for rereading books because there are a lot of benefits that I've experienced, and I think a lot of readers have experienced from rereading books that you might not get if you only read a book once. So in a more academic setting, rereading a book can be very, very helpful because a lot of the times in academics, we are reading classics or more dense literature, and you don't always understand everything that's going on first read. So rereading can be a great tool to understand what's actually happening plot-wise, but also to help you grasp things like theme much better. I have been in lots of English classes where I've read a short story 3 or 4 times in order to fully glean what I need to get out of it. And this works the same way for novels. I read Frankenstein twice for a class because on the first pass, you're sort of getting used to the plot and the language and the ideas, but when you read it the second time, you can really focus and hone in on the connections between different parts of the novel and the connections between the novel and society, or the novel and other things, other materials you've read, etc. If you're not reading a book for school, you can still read a book academically, if that makes sense. You can still read a book for the purpose of writing about it or for drawing those connections. Whether you're writing about it, whether you're talking about it, writing a review, making a video, whatever you're doing, you can still read a book academically, if you will. And rereading a book in this context is very, very helpful because, as I said, you can draw those connections and you can point out themes and various small details and touches that you didn't necessarily get before when you were focused on understanding the plot, the characters, and the broad ideas. I also personally find that in an academic setting or just in a personal setting, rereading is a great time to annotate as well. And that can really enhance your experience reading a book because often, unless I am really invested in a book from the first page, I don't start annotating it because I don't know if I'm going to keep that book, if that book is going to be something that I want permanently part of my collection. A lot of times I find myself reading a book the first time, just digesting it and enjoying it, and then the second time I read it, I annotate it. A great example of this is my copy of I'm Thinking of Ending Things by Ian Reid. I read this for the first time and was very focused on the plot and making sense of it and what was going on, and I just flew through it. But upon reread, I went back through and I underlined things, I wrote in the margins, I fully annotated this book. A lot of pages have quite a few annotations on them. So rereading is a really, really great time to do that. And of course, annotating is great for drawing connections, etc. So beyond the academic sphere, rereading is also very, very comforting. I have reread my favorite book, The Fault in Our Stars by John Green, countless times. I honestly don't remember how many times I've reread it because it has become a comfort object. It's become a comfort story. When you read a book for the first time, like I said, you're focused on understanding it. You're focused on those broad ideas, and you might fall in love with a book upon first read, but with every subsequent reread, you get more and more familiar with the text and what's happening in between the lines, and you remember quotes and you remember scenes. That book sticks with you in a way that books that you read once typically don't. One of the wonderful things about falling into a reread is not having to reckon with your opinions of that book. You don't have to decide whether you like it or not. You don't have to decide if the book is for you. You already know it's for you. So it's so easy to fall into a reread because you already know what to expect. You already know, hopefully if you're rereading the book, that you like the book, and you're only going to be going into it with the expectation of loving it, and you're going to love it. For sure, there are occasions where rereading actually makes you like the book less. This, I feel like, specifically happens if you're rereading a childhood favorite book or a book that you read many years ago where you thought you loved it at the time, but as time has passed and you've matured and you've grown, maybe it's not a book that you find as wonderful as you did the first time you read it, and that's totally okay too. But I find that the majority of the rereads that I've personally done have been books that I really, really love and go into knowing that I'm gonna love them upon reread. And the final point that I want to make about rereading ties into the last point, which is that because rereads are predictable, you know you're going to like them, they're really, really great to leave out if you are packing away your books. I'm moving soon, so I'm preparing to pack up all of my books. And I'm not going to have access to them for a little bit, so I need to leave out enough books to get me through the time that I'm not going to have access to my books. And it's really a gamble, because if you bring books that you're not sure you're gonna like, that's the only option you have, right? You have audiobooks, you have ebooks if you're interested in that. I don't read ebooks, so for me, it would literally be the books that I have and whatever audiobook that I can get on Libby. So what's great about rereads is that you can leave those books out and you know you're gonna love them. There's no gamble of whether or not you're going to like them. So they are the perfect choice to bring with you if you are on vacation or if you're moving and you need to pack up all of your books and you only have access to a few. So I wanted to quickly mention the few books that I am planning on potentially leaving out to read while I am moving. The first one is Magma by Thora Hjörleifsdóttir, my favorite book of last year. I read it last summer and it's been over a year since I read it, so I would love to revisit this because it was a favorite. I also might reread Boy Parts by Eliza Clark. This was a book I read last year in October, and I think it would be really, really fun to reread this in October-ish times. So that one I think I'm definitely leaving out for myself. And the third one is Mostly Dead Things by Kristen Arnett, a favorite that I read, I believe, last summer as well. So these are some of the books that I personally think I might reread soon. Anyway, that's all I have to say about rereading. Let me know what you think about rereading. Is this something that you do a lot? Is it something that you do rarely? Let me know. So also let me know if you like the let's chat about kind of concept. And if you have any ideas of things you want me to chat about, please put them in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.